All right. Good morning. My name is Miranda Jenkins. I am a demand generation specialist for Boundify, which is a demand generation agency located in Greenville, South Carolina. And we are also a HubSpot Gold partner. So super excited to sit down with all of you this morning and talk through HubSpot landing pages. I will preface before I jump in, since it's just me this morning, when I present my screen and go through the slides, I unfortunately can't see any of you and can't see the chat. I kind of go off into my own little world. So as I'm going through the presentation, please feel free to put any questions that you have in the chat. Just know that I won't be able to see them until I stop screen sharing. But yeah, feel free to put them in the chat. And then once I get through the presentation, we can go through and answer them. And also any other attendees, if you see a question in the chat while I'm presenting that you know the answer to, feel free to jump in and answer it. That would be awesome. Also, one more disclaimer. I have two very large dogs, and they have been very vocal this morning. So if we get rudely interrupted, just know it's them. All right. So I will go ahead and jump in to my presentation. All right. And I'm going to assume that all of you can see my screen. Here, let me jump in and make sure. Yeah, okay. Looks like you can see my screen. Can you put in the, one of you put in the chat and confirm that you can see the presentation? Perfect. Thank you, Sarah. Awesome. All right, so today we're going to be talking about building high converting landing pages using HubSpot's drag and drop editor. This is Emilio Garcia, our managing partner at Boundify. And then again, my name is Miranda Jenkins, and I'm a demand generation specialist for Boundify. So today we're going to be talking through why landing pages matter, the key elements of a high converting landing page, and then walking through HubSpot's drag and drop editor's overview and best practices when using it, some advanced techniques for high converting pages, common mistakes to avoid, and then I'll jump in to HubSpot in the actual platform and kind of show you where everything we talked about is located, and then answer any questions that you have about building them out. So jumping in, why landing pages matter. First of all, landing pages drive conversions. They are specifically designed to capture leads or drive a single focused action. That's the biggest difference to keep in mind when you're building landing pages versus website pages, is that landing pages are typically attached to a certain campaign or a specific action that you want the viewer to take, such as signing up for a demo, downloading something, making a purchase, etc. The other reason is inbound marketing. Landing pages are used as the destination for your marketing campaigns, for emails, social media, paid ads, and they guide users through the buyer's journey by addressing the specific or intent or need that your offer is supplying for them. And then lastly, they give you higher ROI for campaigns. So a optimized landing page can help reduce wasted ad spend and improve your campaign performance. And according to HubSpot, companies that have 10 to 15 landing pages see 55% more conversions compared to companies with fewer than 10. So getting into some key elements of a high-performing landing page. Your landing page is often the first interaction that the visitor has with your brand. So you want to keep that in mind when you're building out the design and making sure that it's clean, professional, user-friendly, because it's just going to build trust and encourage the user to take action. Think of it like that first impression. What do you want people to perceive about your brand when they hit your landing page? And unfortunately, a poorly designed landing page can result in immediate exits, which will hurt your conversion rates. So some elements that you want to make sure you're including on your landing pages are, first, an attention-grabbing headline. You want to make sure that you're instantly communicating the value or benefit of the page. We'll touch on it throughout the presentation, but you want to be pretty selective about what you include on a landing page. You want it to be very brief and scannable. So keep that in mind when you're deciding your headline and your CTA, all of that. You want to use your real estate wisely and make sure you're, communicating the value of the page right off the bat. Next is a clear value proposition. Explain what the user will get and why it's worth their time. And then eye-catching visuals. We all know we don't read very much. And so using images or videos to support your message can help convey more information without taking up too much real estate on the page. And people are more likely to absorb that information in a visual or video format than reading through a long paragraph. Next, keep in mind conversion-focused form placement. So you want to make sure that the form is above the fold, which means that it's visible without having to scroll on the page or scroll on your phone. And then limit the form fields to only the essentials. The longer the form is, the less likely someone is to complete it and submit. Include a strong call to action. You want to make sure that your CTA is action-oriented to specifically what you want the user to take, what action you want the user to take. And then lastly, mobile responsiveness. You want to make sure that the page functions smoothly on all devices. And according to Statista, nearly 60% of online searches are conducted on mobile devices. And I think we've probably all experienced where we've gone to a website on our phone that is just not well designed for the phone. And you're more likely to get off the web page than, commit the action that it's designed for you to take. All right, so then talking about HubSpot's drag and drop editor. This is a tool within HubSpot that allows you to create landing pages without needing coding skills or the help of a developer, which saves you time. You can quickly create and publish the pages without needing the help of a developer. It provides consistency. You can ensure uniform branding and design across all of your landing pages. And then also, because it's hosted within HubSpot, you can seamlessly connect with your HubSpot CRM, forms, and analytics to track the data from your landing pages. So some of the features of the drag and drop editor are pre-designed templates. You start with professionally designed layouts to help you save time, but then you go into the template and you can customize the font, the colors, and the spacing to make sure that you create a cohesive brand look and build that template out so it looks branded for your website specifically. And if your website is hosted in HubSpot, then of course the theme that you have for your website pages is available for landing pages. And then once you've kind of tailored that template to look branded with your brand colors and fonts and the theme and all that, then you can save that template as a custom design and then use it for, deploying any future landing pages to make sure that they look cohesive and branded for you. The editor also includes a variety of modules. You can easily add images, buttons, meeting links, forums, videos, social links, CTAs, much more. If you're familiar with building out really any content in HubSpot, like marketing emails, blogs, anything like that, it's a very similar process building out landing pages. You can also ensure responsive design. It has a preview feature for mobile, tablet, and desktop. So once you build out your page, you can preview it for those devices and then easily make changes to make sure it looks exactly how you want it to look on each device. And then, of course, the drag and drop functionality. You can easily add in the modules and then rearrange them by dragging them up and down the page. Again, very similar to building out a blog or a marketing email in HubSpot. All right, so then some best practices that we recommend to keep in mind when you're building out landing pages. First is to start with the pre-built template. You actually have to start with a pre-built template if you're using the drag and drop editor. The only way to start with like a blank canvas is to create landing pages through the coding feature through HubSpot. So you will have to have coding experience to do that. So start with the professionally designed template and then go in and customize it to match your brand colors, fonts, and layout. Optimize for mobile first, so ensure that the page is fully responsive on preferably all devices. But again, like we said, 60% of searches are happening on mobile. So really make sure that your CTAs and forms are easily visible on smaller screens. Leverage the personalization tools. So HubSpot has the personalization tokens that can dynamically display the user information, like their first name, their company name. And then taking that a step further, you can also implement smart content, which we'll talk about in a bit, to show different versions of the page based on different audience segments. Focus on your user experience. You really want to make sure that the layout is clean and uncluttered. Really keep in mind having the page be scannable, and then making sure that your CTA stands out visually. So if you build out the landing page and step back or scroll through it quickly on your phone, you want to make sure that the CTA is the thing that pops the most on the page. And then you want to make sure that any critical elements, such as your forms, your CTAs, include them above the fold so that they're visible without the user having to scroll at all. You want to optimize for speed, so compress your images and use lightweight visuals to ensure the page loads quickly. The editor also has lazy load for any of the related modules. So you can choose, when you set up the module, you can choose to lazy load, which increases your page speed significantly. Typically, you want to use those for larger modules, like a video or something like that. And then also anything that is below the fold, you want to do lazy load, because the idea of it is it's going to have loaded by the time they scroll, but it doesn't have to load the minute they land on the page, so that the page loads overall faster for them. And then lastly, use A/B test elements. So HubSpot has A/B testing tools with their landing pages. So you can create different versions of your landing pages and try out different headlines, CTAs, images, form placements, all that. and then test and see which one performs better. We recommend just focusing on one variable at a time, though, to identify what the change was that's affecting one to perform better than the other. All right, and then some of the advanced features for high converting pages, ways to take our recommendations a step further. I'm going to kind of run through these pretty quickly. Some of them require specific HubSpot tiers, so I'll share that. First is HubDB, which is a way to create a dynamic and personalized page. So HubDB is essentially a database table that stores information on the back end of HubSpot like a spreadsheet, but then the data can be embedded and styled on your landing page, and it updates dynamically. So anytime a new entry is made in the table, then the embedded version on your website that's styled will automatically update once the page is refreshed. Typically, people use HubDB for landing pages such as showing your employees like a company page. They'll build it out in a template or in a table in the back end, and then when you add a new image and a new name and new job title and everything, it'll automatically update. Another popular use of it is event listings. So if you attend a lot of trade shows, for example, throughout the year, you can use HubDB, build it out in a table, and then as you add new events, you just add it in that list, and then it'll automatically populate in a stylized version on your events page. HubDB does require Content Hub Professional or Enterprise, though, so keep that in mind if you don't have that version in your HubSpot instance. Next, which is something everyone can do, add video to your landing pages for higher engagement. Videos can really increase your conversion rates because, again, it quickly explains what you're trying to communicate on the page without someone having to read through a paragraph. If you're going to add a video, we recommend that you place it near the top of the page or alongside your CTAs to make sure that it's visual and the most amount of people see it. Next, you can use smart content to tailor messaging. So smart content is a feature in HubSpot where you can add in a piece of content like a life cycle stage, device type, past behavior, and then set up rules that the content will dynamically update based on who's viewing the page. So for example, you could have a landing page that has smart content and it'll display a different offer for returning visitors versus new visitors. But this does require you to have either professional or enterprise in either Marketing Hub or Content Hub to use this feature. And then lastly, use social proof to build trust. A lot of the templates for landing pages in HubSpot have this module that has customer logos. You can also do it with customer reviews or testimonials, but just anything to help convey more trust and highlight other companies that are similar to the target company that you want to fill out your form or perform the action on your landing page. Okay, and then common mistakes to avoid. A lot of these are the flip side of the recommendations that we made, so we'll just jump through them quickly. Again, overloading the page with content. You want to make sure that your page is highly scannable and stick to concise messaging, and really try to drive the point home of what you want your viewer to do. Neglecting mobile optimization, you always want to make sure that you check the mobile preview and make sure that the page looks good on mobile. Weak or generic CTAs, such as submit or click here, you really want to make sure that your CTAs are action-oriented and, again, convey what you want the user to do when they visit the page, such as download my free guide, schedule a demo, things like that. Using too many form fields, the longer the form is, the less likely someone is to complete it. So only include the essentials. Slow page load times, and this is usually caused by large image files. So you want to make sure that any images you're adding are compressed, and then remove any unnecessary things that are slowing your page down. And then failing to track and analyze performance. HubSpot has some great analytics with their landing pages. So make sure you're just keeping an eye on that and looking for the page views and the bounce rates and conversion rates. If you have some landing pages, especially if you're using the A/B testing feature, if you have some that are performing better than others, really try to drill down why that is, so that when you create more in the future, you can follow that, or you can make the changes on your other existing landing pages. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. And then, all right, looks like I didn't miss any questions in the chat, but if you have any questions of anything we walked through in the presentation, feel free to put them in the chat. I'm happy to answer them. And then I will jump into the actual HubSpot platform. Again, share my screen. So I'll be off in my own little world and won't see you guys, won't see the chat. But I'll kind of walk through where you can find the landing pages in your HubSpot portal, and then show you some of the features that I talked through. If you want to pull up your HubSpot as well and follow along and kind of see where everything is in your portal, that's great too. And then I'll jump back in here, answer any questions, and then we'll wrap things up. So let me share my screen and pull up the platform. Okay, perfect. Looks like you guys can see my screen. So landing pages are located under the content section in your HubSpot portal. You can find them right here. And again, this is where you go to build out templates using the drag and drop editor, or build out pages using templates with the drag and drop editor. If you are wanting to build a landing page from scratch, again, you'll have to have coding experience, but you would go also here under content, and then you'll go to design manager right here. And that's where you build them out using coding. But for the drag and drop editor, you'll hit create, and then it's going to automatically bring up to choose a theme template. Like I said when we walked through the presentation, if you use HubSpot for your website and you're using a specific theme, it's going to automatically bring up that as your default theme right here. But then you can change themes. If you're using a specific theme for your website, I highly recommend you use the same theme for your landing page, but just for, to show you how it looks like. You can change theme, and then you can browse all of the themes in the that you have downloaded, and then you can also view themes in the marketplace to look for more. And in the marketplace, they have free themes and paid themes, and you can search by title and all that stuff. If you're not, say you host your website in WordPress and you're just using HubSpot like you just use HubSpot as your CRM and you're wanting to do your landing pages in HubSpot. When you're choosing your theme, I would recommend looking for first ones that like somewhat match the format of your website. Say it's in WordPress, but try to like keep in mind that fonts can be changed, colors can be changed. So think more in terms of like format and the way the modules look as you're shopping through to the themes. So we're going to use the growth theme just for an example. And I'm going to select this landing page video template. It's going to give you a nice little editor tutorial. If you have a logo in your brand settings, it'll automatically populate your logo in the template. And then this is where you'll see where I mentioned the lazy loading. Any images or videos or anything like that, if you click on it, you can edit here and you lazy loading. And it looks like this needs to be, aligned. So that's where you change any of that. And then this left-hand feature is the drag and drop, functionality. Again, if you've done blog posts or marketing emails in HubSpot, it's going to be very comfortable for you to build it out this way. You can see the page content in order, and then you can add in the modules and then easily move them around where they need to go, change your fonts and all that stuff. Here's that company logo, which when you go in and edit it in, it's like any other image. You can replace it with logos with any images that you have in your HubSpot, or you can upload a new one. And that's what it looks like. If you go, another important thing you want to make sure you check every time is going through the settings of the landing page. You want to make sure that you include internal page name and a page title. You have to have it to publish the page. And then also a meta description. This should be like a brief, sentence or two summary of what the page is and what it entails for search engines. And this also, you have the Breeze functionality. If you have Breeze enabled in your HubSpot portal, then once you've created the landing page, you can generate a meta description with Breeze, and it'll scan, the page and then put what it thinks would be the best meta description, and then you can edit it from there. And you can attach any landing pages to a specific campaign that you have in HubSpot. And that is that. And again, it's not exactly what we're talking about today, but I'll show you briefly what it looks like in the Design Manager if you're wanting to, if you have coding experience. You can see even HubSpot has like not a warning, but like a little thing that comes up that if you're not a developer, it is very hard to, create these landing pages when you're writing code, and it is a developer's job. So it is highly recommended that you have a website developer do this for you. But this is where that happens, and you just create a new file, HTML, and create it. If your, say, the example, like your website is hosted in WordPress, if you want the landing page to identically match your like WordPress website, and you don't feel like you can do it in the templates, like you choose a template, you edit it as much as you possibly can, and it still just doesn't look enough like your website for you to be happy with it, you likely will have to go into the design manager and create a page through the HTML to get it to like perfectly match. All right, I'll go ahead and stop sharing and see. Looks like no questions so far. If you had any last minute questions, or you want me to walk through something specific on the platform, feel free to put it in the chat here quickly, and I'd be happy to answer it, walk through it. I also will be, when we wrap up the event, like all of our other events, we will include the recording and the slides from the event, and we'll send it out. Feel free to, reply and with any additional questions you might have had. Our next Greenville HUG event will be in May, and it's going to be talking about creating a blogging strategy in HubSpot. So yeah, we'd love to have you join that one. Thank you for joining this morning. I hope that was helpful. Just a brief overview of landing pages. And again, I'm with Boundify, and we're a HubSpot Gold partner here in Greenville. So if you need any assistance with HubSpot, we have a lot of offerings to help people get settled in HubSpot and make the most of their use of HubSpot. So we're happy to connect. Would love to, get to know you more. We also will be potentially doing some in-person Greenville HUG events coming up this summer. So if you're located here in Greenville, hopefully that's something that interests you, and we'd love to meet you in person. But again, thanks so much for joining, and we will see you next time. Thanks. Bye, everyone.